Hi there, welcome to today's video, baangt integration with Selenium Grid version 4. So let's quickly go through the contents of today's video. We will see a short introduction to Selenium Grid version 4. I will guide you through the setup of the Docker container on your own computer. And then we will go through the execution. We will see the input of the Excel sheet that is used as a test run definition. Then we will execute the test run using baangt and Selenium Grid. And finally we will check the result sheet, the logs, and so on. So what is this Selenium Grid version 4.0 and what's the big deal about it? Let's look into the web page of this project. So when we look at the page of the Selenium, which is a GitHub repository, we can see that the project is widely used and loved a lot. In their wiki, there is the Selenium Grid documentation, which says here still that it will be updated as the alpha progresses. And it is still in alpha version, but we are already using it in baangt with version alpha 5. And the grid is basically a method to extend your testing capabilities to more than one computer. And we all know how terrible it is when you have only one computer. You run 4, 6, maybe 8 sessions of a browser in parallel, and you can't have more processes running in parallel on a single computer. When we progress to larger installations and larger corporations, we want to run 50 or 500 test cases in parallel, but that's not possible. We don't have enough resources on our computers, and Selenium Grid helps us to avoid running different sets of test cases on different computers and then trying to find the logs together, get the errors straightened out, and all this by providing one single contact point for the test cases. And Selenium will take care to distribute the test cases between different machines. Next up, we will look into the setup. We'll download the Docker script, build the Docker container on our local computer, and then run it. A prerequisite for Docker to work is that it is installed on your system. I will copy this link into the comments of the video, and you can download it from there if you don't have Docker installed already. It is available on Mac OS, Windows, and many Linux distributions. You don't need to do any nightly builds or anything weird, just a regular installation will be completely fine. Once you have installed Docker, it is time to download the script. You can find it on GitHub on this URL. I will copy it in the comment section of the video. You can either clone it directly from here, from GitHub, or of course, if you are familiar with the Git command line tools or with your IDE, you can directly copy it from this URL. Now, when you scroll down on the GitHub page, you will see the README. It describes a few manual steps. The steps are to execute the make build, then make run, and then you can start directly to go into your VNC session on your local computer. We'll now do that together in my command line. So I started here a command line window. I'll first change into the directory where I have my downloaded image from GitHub. Now, as I said, and as it said in the README, the first instruction that we will have to enter is make build. This will run a long time on your computer for the first time because the Docker will download all the needed image information and install everything fresh. This was done here on my computer already, and he says successfully built. Now, the next command, as I said, for you, this will run for a long time depending on your internet speed. The next command is make run. This will start the VNC server, Selenium Grid standalone version. And when you see this started Selenium standalone 4.0 alpha 5, everything is perfect and we can head over to the VNC session. So basically we enter the VNC location, which is in our case localhost on port 5902 for this Docker. The initial password is just password, everything lowercase. And you can see that baangt is already up and running inside this Linux Ubuntu desktop and basically ready to be executed. Before we start the test execution, let's look at these test run definitions. We'll go to the file manager. Here we see that it is in baangt examples is the folder. And here we can see the simple automation practice, which is just an example in Excel simple format. When we open the file, we see, as I said, the simple format with instructions for the test case, how to be executed. So we will go to a URL. It will execute some clicks on items. It will fill in some values into items on the page. And then it will create a submit message. And basically that's it. A very simple test case, of course, only for an example to show how it works. And here in the second tab, we see the data that will be executed. So this test case will be executed 12 times unless we say otherwise. So if we don't restrict baangt, it will run through all the 12 test cases. And these variables here, email, name, message, will be used in the test case execution and be replaced. So fine. So now that we know that the file looks good, we can close it and start to execute baangt by pressing on the execute button. A Firefox browser will open. Of course, you could change that in the configuration to Chrome or Edge or whatever. And the test case is getting executed. We see that the variables that we saw before in the Excel sheet in the data tab are now entered one by one in each of the test cases. This would take too long now for the 12 or 13 test cases, so I will pause the video. So we're back. Baangt says that the test run is finished. We click OK. Now we're going to review the results. We'll start again the File Explorer. Again, change to the directory examples. In your real productive system, of course, you would have folders for the logs, for the output files, and potentially use, for instance, baangtdb to have, statistics of your files and get a better visual reporting. But for here, for the Docker container, this is fine. We will open the X sheet. And we see we had 13 records, 13 were successful, 0 errors in this case. Here is the location of the log file. The whole run started at 3:23. It took 2 minutes and 5 seconds. There are some more details about the test run customization. For instance, that it ran on remote V4, which is the short name for the Selenium Grid version 4 in baangt, and the parameters were to run on Firefox, on a local host, and on this port of the grid, but you would change that in reality. Here we see the output for each of the test cases. Each of the test cases was okay. We can see the duration of each test case. And here is a JSON representation of all the necessary things, but that's a separate video. This is it for this demonstration. That's all for today. Thanks for watching the video. Would be happy to see your comments, whether it worked, if you ran into any problems, and what you think about it. See you in one of the next videos. Bye.